The real me. Joining the world of work can lead to some big questions. This series is about finding the answers.
How can I, as a young black female, have a voice?
What should you do if you feel out of your depth?
How can I inspire others?
How can I be me at work?
Two people, two different stages of their careers, real conversations and real experiences. This is the Rolls-Royce, The Real Me. Today's episode, I met up with Elizabeth to discuss being a young female engineer.
Hi,
I'm Elizabeth.
nice to meet you, Elizabeth. So my name is Lequesha.
So hi.
What do you do?
So I work in materials engineering and
Right.
I'm the global chief of materials for design and services.
Wow.
So that pretty much looks after the whole engine, so every single part, through the product life cycle. So everything that we manufacture and all the materials that go into it.
So how long have you been?
About 9 years. What about you? What do you do in Rolls-Royce?
Well, I'm a third year apprentice.
Yeah.
So I'm an ME. So I'm on the manufacturing engineering course. Currently I'm in the digital team. So I'm in my placement. So
Oh, wow.
I'm doing like 6-month placements everywhere, getting a feel for everything.
Yeah.
And then I get to pick somewhere I want to be in the end.
And do you have any idea about
No.
what that might be?
No, Jenny, like
It's all right. It's all right if you don't know.
everyone keeps asking me like, oh, you should know. I'm like, no, I
It's
don't.
like the dreaded question that I hate that I'm asking you, so I'm sorry about that.
I mean, did you always know, or
No,
what was
had
it?
no idea.
How did you start off, or like?
So I guess I started when I was at uni and I really enjoyed doing chemistry and I was quite good at it.
Okay.
And they asked me to switch my degree to chemistry. And
What were you doing before?
Geography.
Really?
I know, it's quite out there. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but because I'm from Aberdeen, it's quite a big oil and gas hub.
Okay.
So a lot of people from my class wanted to go into like the oil and gas industry, but I knew I didn't want to do that. Because
Okay.
I'd get that question, you know, like I just asked you, what do you want to do? And people would be
Okay,
like,
yeah,
you're going to
yeah.
be a chemistry teacher, you're going to work in oil and gas. And I was like, I know I want to do something different, but I don't know what. And that kind of opened my mind to the fact that there was other possibilities out there. So that's how I kind of came into the world of science. And I did do a PhD, but decided that I really wanted to do something that was applied. So I really liked the idea of solving real world problems rather than just doing academic studies.
Oh, so were you always very science, technology, engineering, maths, STEM girl?
Not really. I mean, I would say I quite like doing a lot of creative stuff as well.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
Oh, me too.
So I really enjoyed things like art and design and
No
stuff
way.
at school. Do you enjoy
Yeah,
that?
I love art and design.
Yeah, I really like drawing. So
No way.
and actually, when I was at school, I wanted to be an architect. And the thing that put me off was, well, one, I got put on. So I came from a very working class background. Grew up in a council estate, and I would say kind of maybe ambitions at school weren't really kind of followed
happens,
through.
doesn't it? Yeah.
So I said I wanted to be an architect, and I actually went on work experience in Debenhams as a window dresser, which was, it was interesting, but it wasn't really what I wanted
Yeah.
to do. You know, my mum's a single parent, and to be honest, I had quite a lot going on at home. So
Fair
when I
enough,
went
fair
to
enough.
school, I was just like, you know what? It's just get your head down, get
do it,
work
get it
done,
done.
and get it done.
Okay, so I come from a similar kind of
Yeah.
background, right? So pretty low income, like, we live in a flat, didn't even have my own room till I moved out.
Yeah.
So when I came to Derby is when I first had my own room.
Yeah.
So it was like no one knew about further education, and schools just push university, just uni. And I was like, it's a lot of money, like 9K,
Yeah.
I don't have that. Do you know what I mean? So when I went, I got this engineering scholarship. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've heard of the Arkwright scholarship.
Oh yeah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, not many people have. But so I got the Arkwright scholarships, and then they basically like sent me all these engineering summer schools and stuff to go on. So they were like guided me
Yeah.
into engineering, I
Yeah.
guess. When I went on one of them in Liverpool, it was aerospace. I loved it, all
Yeah.
of it. And they mentioned like degree apprenticeships, so that's where I
Yeah.
heard about that. So I applied, but yeah, no, I thought it was just going to be all guys, and I'd
Yeah.
be in overalls every day,
Yeah.
sweaty with like oil dripping down my skin. Yeah.
And what did the demographic look like to you before you joined?
Yeah, just males.
Male?
Like, honestly, I was so shocked when I came in and I saw like how many girls, like there's not that, I'm not trying to say there's loads of girls,
Yeah.
but as in I thought like it would just be 3 in
Yeah.
like our year group,
Yeah.
but there's like you can,
Yeah.
more than a handful. That's all right.
It's
It's
a
like
decent amount.
more than you'd think, yeah. Especially my group, so there's 7 of us, and it's really well
Yeah.
split. So there's 4 guys, 3 girls, which
Yeah.
well, that's crazy.
What about, so in your apprenticeship, I guess you work at different levels of the company and so on.
Yes.
So what about, so you're saying that actually the cohort that you're in is reasonably diverse.
Yeah.
What about people that you interact at like different levels of the company?
Okay, so yesterday I had to like present to the exec team.
Yeah.
They called it reverse mentoring, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I was like teaching them how to present because they were worried their presentations were boring. So I was like, okay, guys, let me help you bring a bit of life to it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked because there's actually a lot of females that are like higher than you'd think.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, people kind of say, oh, engineering, you just want to get girls in now, but there's always been females
Yeah.
in engineering.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I didn't think like there'd be female execs or
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? But there are, like you said yourself.
Yeah, I think there are. There's not loads of them.
But there are.
There are some,
which
yeah.
is like, I didn't expect that. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's interesting.
It was very much the same as me. I expected, so I came in externally. I didn't come in through a scheme to Rolls-Royce. And I very much expected it to be kind of white, middle-aged guys in like grey suits.
I mean, they're still there. There's still plenty of them. But like,
I think it is changing a bit,
No, definitely.
which is really encouraging. But how do you think it'll always be like the kind of ratio it is today, or do you think that might change?
I think like, because of social media and stuff like that, it is evident that more girls are getting interested in it because they're seeing what it actually is.
Yeah.
Like everything beforehand was all just a perception, word of mouth kind of trade, right? Now you can actually see
Yeah.
things and you can see if you like it, see if you don't.
So where do you think, like at what level do we need to change, like make an impact to enable that?
Well,
Do you think it's like uni or like
Oh,
earlier?
no, you need to start way
Yeah.
earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but did you have any difficulties, like, with, like, liking STEM or, like, coming into the company or any of that?
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, I never saw myself as a really STEM person.
Was that word always around, by the way? Was it? No, is that
like
just a new thing
science
everyone's brought in?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a new
okay,
thing.
fair enough.
So I never saw myself as really, I was good at those subjects, but I actually enjoyed loads of other things. So I think I mentioned things like geography and art and stuff. So I never really saw myself in that kind of like really nerdy camp of kind of, STEM and maths and so on.
But, like, I feel like, in school and stuff, boys are really mean. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you had it, but, like, secondary school, A levels, oh my gosh.
Giving you a hard time about studying
of course.
stuff, yeah.
You're like, already you're like 2 girls in the physics class out of like, there's a group of 30, you're 2 girls in there, you get 1 question wrong, whole class is giving you rubbish for it. Do you know what I mean?
No,
but it's like,
that's hard.
there was pressure, there was loads of pressure, there was pressure to like, be different, like be the girl that's like getting the grades and everything, stand out. You can't be stupid because then all girls are stupid. It like reflects on all women. I don't know if you had
like
that.
a bit of a kind of social pressure.
Yeah, it was really bad. And it's like, you never went into it going, oh, I'm doing this for the females. You go in because you want to do it, right? But then somehow, because of, all the social pressures, you ended up representing a whole demographic.
Yeah, it's interesting
and then
you say
it's
that.
like, one thing in my school, definitely, a lot of girls dropped out of like STEM subjects, like computing especially, because the boys were just being mean. They were just giving them a hard time. So why would they stay? And it's like, I get it, push through, but why? Why do you need
It's an effort,
why do
isn't
you need
it?
to do that? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You should be able to just enjoy a subject. You shouldn't need to double think if you can answer a question. When I came into the world of work, it's completely different. Like everyone's so like, I don't feel like people look at me like, oh, what's she doing here? Or that's a bad idea. Like my boss, who's like mentoring me right now, who's always like telling me, oh, you should believe in yourself, like stop saying like sorry so much, or stop like doubting yourself, like say you do know, like
because obviously we do quite a lot of training and we talk a lot about being inclusive as an organisation, but it's really interesting to see how that plays out and how it makes people feel, because one of the things I think we talk about is like bringing your whole self to work. Do you feel like you can do that?
No, definitely. I actually can. So before I started, I was so stressed. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, oh, I can't go to work and be myself because, your background and everything. I was like, I can't bring that to work. I have to put on a front. I have to be posh and polished and, you know, rich girl background. Like, that's where I'm from. But it, like, as soon as I started work, I was like, okay, everyone's themselves here.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be myself. If you don't like it, tough luck. But
I mean,
have you always felt that way?
No, not really. So when I first joined, which was about 9 years ago, obviously I came in external, so I didn't come in through, like, I didn't have a cohort of people that I was with. I just came into the team, and I felt like it's not that I couldn't be myself, but I was a bit reserved about kind of, so I'd keep work and life really separate. So I would never say like, oh, I grew up in a council estate. It wouldn't be something that I'd said at work.
Yeah.
But actually, the more that I kind of, you know, built up my career and worked through leadership, the more I'm like, why not? You know, like I've done the stuff. I'm like, you know,
I'm at this level now, so you can hear it.
not quite. But I was, you know, it's very much like, you know, actually, it's, you know, you were talking a bit about that responsibility. One of the things I do is quite a lot of mentoring, and I don't really do that because I'm at a certain level in the company or because I feel like it's expected of me at work. But it's something that, like, I feel I would have really wanted when I joined the company. And, you know, when you were talking about the kind of boosting people's confidence and telling people, well, actually, you can do that.
Yeah.
And I mentor a range of people. I don't just mentor kind of women or just early careers. But just, you know, telling people, actually, it's possible. And I feel like through that, I have to be true about my background.
And your story.
Yeah.
No, but I think your story is very important.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like sometimes people have this perception that, you know, when you have like an office job and stuff, you have to be really polished, you have to be a type of way.
Yeah.
And, you know, the perception is that when you come from these backgrounds, you can't make it. But
Yeah.
people need to hear the stories of
They
people
do,
that made it
don't
out.
they?
They do.
No, it's funny you use the phrase "made it out" because I thought a bit about that as well. And, you know, part of the reason that I kind of worked hard at school and stuff, I was like, oh, come on, there's got to be something.
You have to
there's
make
got to be something
out.
different.
You
right?
have to make it out. You have to
don't
make it out the ghetto. Is how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad you understood that
No,
phrase.
I totally get it.
That's actually really good. But like, I totally understand the giving back kind of aspect. It's always just a confidence thing.
It is,
like,
isn't it?
It's
A lot
all,
of it
it's
comes
literally,
down to that.
it's just a mental block.
Yeah.
Like for anyone, it's all
Yeah.
just a mental block. As soon as you just think, oh, do you know what? I'm worth it. Like, I can do what I want. Then
And awareness as well, right? So you've got to know about the schemes, you've got to know about the kind of things that you can do, and then you've got to believe you can do it.
Definitely.
And I think it's really interesting because one of the things that I've been thinking about a bit more recently is that kind of reflecting. So like, I don't know, tell me if you're the same, but, you know, I'm always like that one step, like next step, like do the next thing. You know, it's like you're used to that grafting,
yeah,
you know, like
the
do the next
the grafting
thing.
never stops.
So kind of just
Stays.
keep doing it, and then if you do this, and then, you know, do your chartership, and like, you don't often take a step back to kind of look at what you've done. And the more I say that to, like, I was speaking to someone in my team earlier this week, and I was like, yeah, all right, you know, that stuff's been hard, but have you taken a step back and you look at the bigger picture and go, actually, you know what, that's pretty impressive.
You tell everyone else
Yeah.
to do it, but you never do it yourself.
Right.
And it's crazy because when you actually sit there and just look at everything, you go, ooh, was that me? Like, did I do that?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I totally get that.
So what about your family? They must be dead proud of you.
Oh, my family. I feel like they are.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't tell. But I know
They
if
just
they're
expect you to
listening-
graft.
If they're listening to this, they'll be like, Lequesha, you know we're proud.
Yeah.
But so I was born in India, right? So my background's quite sad actually. So like, my grandma's illiterate. Like, my dad didn't get to finish school. My mom didn't finish school because she got paid. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no one had the money. Like, come from a background of farmers. So they moved here, you know, for money, jobs, stuff like that. So we moved when I was really young, like 2, 3.
Yeah.
And big culture shift for them,
Yeah,
obviously.
massive,
like,
yeah.
Like, I used to just sit at home, like, head deep in books to try to understand things. Because I didn't really get much help from them, obviously, because they didn't, like, understand the schooling and everything. So from my culture, everyone has always, like, females, moved out once you're married. Standard, right? So me going, oh yeah, guys, I'm gonna go.
See you later.
See ya. I got school to do, which they were so confused about already. Took a lot of convincing. I think my mum was like a really big support during that. Like she was like, no, just let her. Like, it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
And a lot of my family looked down on me for it, actually.
Really?
So, yeah.
Just because of the complete kind of shift in what you'd normally
exactly
be expected
because
to do.
like, obviously I'm going against the grain.
Yeah.
I'm going against the norm. And, you know, I had people come up to me like, oh, what about your parents? Like, who's going to take care? I haven't abandoned them. Like, I go down to London every other weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, I still go see them. And, you know, they're not, like, they're fine. Like, but, I got a lot of hate for it. And a lot of people, like, tried to tell me not to go. Yeah. But
what made you? Because that's like a bit of a barrier, isn't it? So what made you kind of overcome that?
I just don't care.
You don't care. I'm sure you do care.
It's so bad. I don't care. I genuinely don't. I don't really care what people have to say. Like, I feel like if I want to do something, I know it's good for me, so I'm going to go do it. Yeah. And if you have something to say, you can watch me shine, and then you can tell me how much, you know, you really wanted me to do well, and I just won't care. Like,
were you like that throughout school, or?
Yeah. I'm so used to it. Like, I'm used to people hating, because I've always kind of gone against the grain. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, always do random things that no one wants to do. And I'm used to the hate, so I just kind of, I don't.
And how's that changed? Like, so you're in like the corporate world, right? How's that changed? Does that still drive you, or
I feel like it does.
Have you adapted it?
No, I feel like it still does drive me. Like, obviously I do listen more because, you know, I don't know my way around the corporate world, and I'm a bit older, so I can't just throw things over. Like, I don't care what you have to say. I'm gonna do what I want. But I think I do definitely still have that in me. I know the limits. There's limits, but yeah.
So one of the things that so it was by one of our exec team, they once said that I was constructively disruptive, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
Constructively disruptive?
Yeah, so you're like a bit disruptive, but you do it in a constructive way.
Fair
so
enough.
I was like, yeah, I'll go with that. I think we could do with a bit more of that.
No, they have. I mean, I've seen it. Like, I mean, you know, since I started in my placements, they all know that I like social media. I like making videos and stuff like that.
What do you make videos of?
Oh, so I post TikTok videos about, like, I do like TikTok dances, but then I also do like hair, skincare, really girly things. But like, I do all of that like in my free time, and they know that because I recently hit like 100k. So I told the team, right, because I had to like introduce myself, and I was like, oh, might as well put it in there, something I do. When they realised that, they got me involved in all sorts of like, that's why I was like presenting to the execs on how to present, because it's like, oh, you can clearly engage people. Yeah. So, you know, bring that into work. Yeah. So they pick apart what you're good at, and they really highlight it. Yeah. So
I think so. I think you can do it.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting that you bring kind of those skills that you've got that are traditionally, you know, seen as outside work to what you do as well.
Yeah, and I think it does help. Like, that's a big shock for me as well, that my ideas are heard. Yeah. Because sometimes I feel like I just throw things out. Like, you know, like a thought comes to my head, I just say it out loud, and then suddenly there's like things going on in the background trying to make it happen. And it's like, oh, I didn't think it was that important, but clearly people do care about your opinion. Have you always found that? Yeah,
I mean, I'd say sometimes I'm probably, for a traditional engineering sense, I'm maybe a bit out there, but I don't feel like people dismiss it. And actually, you know, I think we're getting there. I think the challenge that I've had is not so much during my career, like in engineering, it's more when I've reached kind of like a senior leadership level, that I found probably more of a challenge about being kind of me and being myself at work.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of who you interact with and the kind of dynamic in the room. You know, it's still quite traditional at the senior levels.
Quite traditional.
But the really nice thing for me is kind of interacting with the teams, and you know, I will say, you know, who do you speak to at work, right? Do you just speak to people at the same level and present to people above, or do you speak to people like from all different parts of the business, all different levels of engineering? You know, do you speak to apprentices? Do you speak to grads? Do you speak to direct hires? Do you speak to Band C capability managers? Like, who do you talk to? Because that's really important in terms of getting like a feel of how your team's doing in the organisation.
But like, what tips would you have for me?
I mean, apart from the be yourself, because I really genuinely think that's important. You know, the whole kind of, you know, tone it down. That's not what we need. We don't need people that are all the same in engineering. And then keep your options open. You know, I'm always one that says, figure out what motivates you, and then stick with that rather than a particular job. So job you can always kind of make your own. You know, you don't have to do the role the same way as someone else in the past has done it. So I'd say that. What advice do you have for me then? So I'm a senior leader and one of those scary people.
You can't be asking me to give you advice.
Yeah, definitely.
advice for
Yeah.
you. Don't stop telling your story, you know.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Like, it's comforting knowing that, like, obviously I can look up to you now, knowing your background, knowing that I've come from a similar background. It's really refreshing to know that not everyone in senior levels from this, like, you know, polished private schools, that you're actually a normal girl or lady, sorry. But yeah, it's nice. And I feel like, you know, if you meet apprentices, meet people, like, be as casual as possible. And I feel like they will genuinely open up to you. And I feel like it creates stronger bonds. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes we kind of get lost in creating really corporate relationships and you kind of forget the element of, like, actual relationships. Do you know what I mean?
Like actual people.
So, but there is one question I had for you,
Go
actually.
on.
So, you have kids?
Yeah, twins.
How was it? Like, obviously you were working.
Yeah.
So, was it difficult? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's not without its challenges. So I think when I took maternity leave, I was actually quite poorly. I had sepsis after having my kids. And I came back to work just thinking, just take it easy, right? Like, I don't have to be super ambitious for a while. I can just, you know, take it easy, get used to doing all the kind of nursery drop-offs and all the rest of the stuff. And then there was a job opportunity that came up that was like an engineering manager. And it's that thing, you know, it's like the incremental thing. It's like, where's the challenge?
When you said take it easy, I was like, you're not going to take it easy, are you? No.
So it's that kind of, you know, stretch challenge, you know, and I thought, why not? And I did it, and I did it part-time. So I worked a 4-day week. And I was like, no, I can definitely do it. But I had to be really strict with my work-life balance as well.
I genuinely think that it's all down to the leaders. Yeah. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of pressure. I don't mean to put it on you. But it's the way you act. It's the way your team's going to act.
Yeah.
You know, like, the things you hold to a higher responsibility is what your team's going to care about more. Yeah. I'm trying to be like you.
Oh, that's so nice.
No, but it's crazy, like, genuinely, you know, the background you come from, you clearly struggled, you know, growing up. Then, you know, you have kids, and then they clearly, like, affects your work life as well. Like, that's just standard, but it affects it. And you're still, you know, leadership. Like, that's crazy. I think it's time for you to take a step back. I mean, this is your moment.
Just take it easy for a bit.
No,
I'm not going to do it.
No, not that. But take a step back to just appreciate what you've done. I feel like that's your moment.
So you're giving me that advice now.
Because you need it. You need to, because, like, it is amazing.
Oh, so much. I'll check in with you every now and again then, and you can remind me. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. No, it's really great talking to you today, and I've learned so much, and you've given me some really good tips about that kind of being approachable to people at different levels as well. So really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep grabbing every opportunity and being
keep doing
myself, don't worry, because clearly it works out. So, yeah.
Thank you for joining me, Elizabeth, and thank you for tuning in. To find out more about starting your career at Rolls-Royce, check out our socials or search Rolls-Royce Early Careers. Be real, be curious, be ready, be you. Be Rolls-Royce.